Greetings, mortals. Welcome to another session of the Infernal Court in musical hell. I'm Diva, your judge, jury, executioner, and unfairest of them all. So let's review what we've established in this court. Sequels to musicals are generally a terrible idea.
Yes!
Low-budget knockoffs of popular properties are pandering crap.
Get out of my room!
And cheap, hastily produced kids' films are unimaginative pap designed to make a quick buck off of parents.
I hate being different.
And what do we find at the center of this Venn diagram of awfulness? Our next offender, Happily Ever After. Originally intended for direct-to-video release, Happily Ever After hit the first of many production snags in 1987, when Disney predictably had issues with another studio creating what appeared to be a cheap knockoff sequel to one of their classic films. After all, Disney had their own cheap knockoff sequels to produce. Filmation was allowed to proceed after promising not to copy Disney's character models, and the film was completed in 1990. When poor test screening caused it to be shelved for 3 more years, during which time Filmation went bankrupt and the movie was passed on to First National Film. Eventually, Happily Ever After was released in May of 1993, just shortly before Disney's theatrical re-release of their Snow White movie. No points for guessing the outcome of that showdown.
He's gonna do something horrible. I know it.
If by he you mean the screenwriter, yes. Let's examine the case of Happily Ever After.
We all know the story of a maid named Snow White, and of how the good dwarves tried to hide her from sight.
Ooh, does anybody else cringe a little inside when they hear Dom DeLuise in an animated movie? I mean, yeah, occasionally he turns up in A Secret of Nim or American Tail, but he's usually the first sign the film is in trouble. The second sign is the opening scene featuring a party by the Evil Minions Union.
Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine 'cause it's party time. Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine 'cause it's party time.
Right away, the production values hit us over the head with their low quality. It would be too much to expect something that was on par with the major animated features of the time, but come on! Romeo and Juliet Sealed with a Kiss was done by one man on a shoestring, and it ended up looking more polished than this. The characters are lifeless and move awkwardly, and the backgrounds are flat and uninspiring. But it's not just the animation, not by a long shot. You know how sound editing is one of those things that you never notice in a movie unless it's done badly? Trust me, in this movie, you will notice. The whole thing is tinny and poorly mixed, and the underscoring sounds like it was ripped off a second-tier video game. Instead of hiring B and C list celebrities for voice talent and blowing $10 million on the ad campaign, the producers would have been better off putting that money towards a decent animation and production staff. The evil minions are celebrating the death of their boss, the evil queen from the first Snow White, since now they can stay up late and drink all her booze. Chief among the minions are an owl named Scowl and a bat named Batso. Really good job on the character naming there, guys.
That old hag won't be pushing us around no more, Batso.
Gee, that's not a very nice thing to call her.
You some kind of bird brain or something?
And welcome to the Sin Count, Scowl and Batso. Even by the standards of useless comic relief, these two are pretty useless. Scowl's entire routine consists of bragging about how bad he is.
Bad!
Bad?
Bad! Bad!
He even gets to emphasize this point with an I'm bad rap, where you can practically hear the writers saying, hey, why don't we try that hip-hop stuff that's popular with the kids nowadays? If you've never heard Ed Asner rapping, well, cover your ears because you're better off without the experience.
Being nice is just for sex. Being good is a handicap. I'm bad, see? You gotta be bad like me.
He's flying all around with a mean and nasty frown.
And Batso? He's the type of evil minion who doesn't really have the hang of the whole evil thing. Honestly, I can relate. But nothing funny comes of it, and in many movies he'd be the most irritating character. In this one, he's a distant second, but we'll get to that.
What's going on here?
Oh crap, it's Professor Snape! Oh, he is definitely going to take points from Gryffindor for this. Obviously, this is our villain, Lord Malice, who's come looking for his sister, the Queen. Apparently, his skills as a sorcerer, wizard, were-dragon type thing don't extend to keeping up with current events, so he grills the magic mirror for information.
When water flows as though it's bled, and sky does change from blue to red, it's a sign to all. The Queen is dead.
No more rhymes now, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut?
Having learned that his sister met her end by carrying out an irrational vendetta against Snow White, Malice decides the only way to avenge her is by carrying out an irrational vendetta against Snow White. Yes, it's going to be one of those sequels. While Malice monologues about how he will have his revenge, Snow White and the prince are revealed riding off to invite the 7 dwarfs to their wedding. They'll be wonderful guests, I'm sure. And sure enough, no sooner do Snow and Princey say, "Oh, we're so happy and the Queen is dead, so nothing could possibly ever harm us ever again," Malice swoops down out of the sky in dragon form and carries Snow White off. So he takes her up into the air, let's go, vengeance accomplished, right? Of course not, he leads the prince on a merry chase while the comic relief offers limited support. Alright, I admit it. That was funny. Although it could just be that I love seeing Scowl in pain. By and large, though, this chase sequence gets sin number 3. What's supposed to be intense and frightening ends up as unintentionally comedic.
Get away from me!
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
It also doesn't make our villain look good. Snow White just eludes him by running into the forest. And he can't change into his human form and pursue her why? So he settles for the consolation prize of He-Man's dorky brother, while Snow goes on a scary adventure that in no way is supposed to resemble a similar but much better sequence in a certain Disney movie. Her heedless flight somehow leads her back to the dwarf's cottage, where she suddenly becomes so exhausted that she can't even make it the 2 steps into the door. Luckily, some kind souls help her inside, and despite having just gone through several levels of here, Snow White is pretty casual about the whole situation when she wakes up. Well, my fiancé and I were attacked by a dragon and I'm all alone with nobody to help me, but at least I look fabulous! Upon investigating, Snow White learns the 7 dwarfs have skipped town and have been replaced by Rainbow Bright's redneck relatives?
But the 7 dwarfs live in that cottage.
Not anymore. They opened up a new mine way over in the next kingdom.
Oh, but then who are you?
We're their cousins, the 7 dwarf elves.
Isn't that the name of a girl group from the 1960s? The dwarf elves aren't exactly dwarfs, as they are technicolor nature spirit gnome thingies. Each one of them controls a certain natural aspect: earth, water, fire, heart. Wait, wrong cartoon. The runt of the litter is Thunderella, who is sin number 4 and a very good example of how not to do a cute character. Cute characters are extremely hard to get right. It's not enough to draw something adorable and merchandise-friendly. They have to be fun without being forced, affectionate without being annoying, sweet without being cloying, and endearing without being nauseating. Throw in giving them a genuine personality and function in the plot, and the result is a tightrope walk that it takes a very skilled writer and creative team to navigate. Thunderella is an unbearably precious kid with hyperactive body language and a voice that sets my horns on edge, especially when she sings.
If the sun can keep shining bright, then that's what I must do. And if the moon can light up the night, well, I can do that too.
Her big character point is that she can't control her weather powers because, well, according to her song, it's because she's scared of thunder, but her general self-pity seems to indicate it's more of a lack of confidence thing. Really, she just exists so Snow White can have someone to play mother to. And speaking of the dwarf elves, Filmation may not have stolen the appearance of Disney's dwarfs, but they definitely cribbed the personalities. Look, Doc, Grumpy, Dopey, Sleepy, Happy, and... Okay, the parallel breaks down around here, but still, that's 71%. Anyway, Snow White explains her problem, and the dwarf elves decide she should talk to Mother Nature, which is convenient since they're about to pay her a visit at Gay Pride Falls. Hi-her, we'll visit Mom Nature. Lawsuits we scoff, the scene's ripped off. Hi-her. Mother Nature, it turns out, is voiced by Phyllis Diller and is nuttier than a squirrel's pantry.
Take a couple feathers, a squawk, and a nest. Put it all together and hope for the best.
Yeah, I'm calling sin number 5 on this song. It's tuneless, it just fills time, and it sets up a bunch of visual puns that were better when they were in Alice in Wonderland.
Is it a horsefly? Have you played this before?
Oh, there's also her haughty sunflower valet. Sweet Lucifer, this movie is reaching critical mass for irritating supporting characters. Mother Nature chews the dwarf elves out for abusing their powers, but the riot act is interrupted by the arrival of Malice. Fortunately, Mother Nature has no qualms about upsetting the entire geological balance of the area in order to teach Malice a lesson, so he has to settle for taunting Snow White about her missing beloved.
The answer lies in my castle in the realm of doom, and not even Mother Nature can stop me there.
Why do villains always choose such obviously evil names for their home turf? If I were an evil overlord, I'd call my realm Happy Fluffy Bunnyland, just to confuse heroes. Even though it's obvious where this is leading. Snow White decides she needs to go to the Realm of Doom, and for some strange reason wants the dwarf elves to come with her. So they all make their way into Big Scary Passageway, where they discover that someone else is on their trail.
Look, there's someone in the shadows.
Hey, who is he? There he goes!
Get that Shadow Man!
Shadow Man? Bitch, there's only one Shadow Man.
Don't you disrespect me, little man.
But instead of capturing the mysterious stranger, they end up causing a mudslide and nearly getting everybody killed. Don't look at me, Snow. You were the one who insisted on dragging the 7 loads along. Luckily, not even their clothing was damaged, so now they're within spitting distance of Malice's castle.
I have a little task for you, my pet. You will bring Snow White to me.
Why are you sending your devil dogs out for this job? You can turn into a fucking dragon! You want revenge on this girl who was indirectly involved in your sister's death? Fine, but you're making it a lot harder on yourself than you need to. On the plus side, I do approve of Malice's torturing scowl platform.
Your lordship, you're not leaving, are you?
Team Snow White is able to escape the Herehounds with an assist from the Shadow Man, which leads to Snow having a tender moment with her mysterious savior. Foreshadowing!
You saved us from the wolves. And back in the cave. You were trying to warn us about something. It's almost as though you've been watching over me. Caring for me like a friend.
But the Shadow Man has a "no, I'm hideous" angst fest and runs off. And that's the entire extent of the interaction between these two characters. Keep that in mind. Finally, Malice does what he should have done earlier and uses his dragon form to carry Snow White off. And the dwarf elves pursue them to the castle and get into a fight to see whose comic relief is the most incompetent. Meanwhile, Snow White wakes up to a familiar face.
My prince? Is it really you?
Who else would it be? Quickly, we must hide.
Is everything okay, darling? You seem suddenly and obviously the evil villain in disguise for some reason. Not the prince leads Snow White to one of those disturbingly realistic statue gardens, reveals himself as Malice. No, that was too lame even for that running gag. And Malice tries to use his magic cloak to turn Snow White into stone, which... No, sorry Malice, I've been going easy on you this entire movie, but you are one stupid villain. You have all these abilities and you haven't been using them. Why didn't you turn into a dragon, fly the petrification cloak over Snow White, and then drop it on her? Why didn't you turn yourself into the prince, earn her trust, and get her to put it on herself? Dear Lord of Darkness, you could have at least zapped her with your eye beams the way you do with the Shadow Man. I've seen some dumb antagonists in my time, but you take the sulfur cake.
Don't you dare!
Oh goody, the Load Squad to the rescue. Malice petrifies most of the Dwarf Elves, so at least he's good for something. But he misses Thunderella, who finally gets a hang on the lightning thing long enough to arrange for Malice's karmic demise. This brings the rest of the Dwarf Elves back. I guess the other statues are just screwed over. And Snow White mourns the fallen Shadow Man.
I cared for him as dearly as the prince. And now I've lost them both. Oh.
Oh hey, it's the prince, who'da thunk. Sin number 7 here because although this is a decent concept, the execution of it is very sloppy. First, what exactly was Malice's thought process?
And I have a very special fate in store for you. Very special indeed.
I shall turn you into an inbred Jawa, then let you roam free to help your beloved and spoil my plans in various ways. Sorry, it's the best I could come up with on short notice. And although the Shadow Man certainly has a lot more potential as a character than the blandly pretty prince, he's never really given a chance to grow. He has one short scene with Snow White, and that's it. There's nothing to establish a real relationship between them, and certainly not enough to make her stated affection for him make sense, although I guess that is consistent with the original fairy tale. But it does kind of undermine the attempt to make Snow White a more active, empowered heroine, since at least half the time she still needs a prince to save her tale. But no matter, the day is saved, the Dwarf Elves are invited to the wedding, Scowl is suddenly nice now that his cigar isn't giving him emphysema, and hopefully there are no more evil siblings to worry about, because I don't think I could sit through another movie like this. In its defense, Happily Ever After does at least try to make Snow White a key player in her own story, which is something that would have been difficult to do with the original since she spends so much of that unconscious. But it doesn't really do a good job of it, and the low production values and dumb secondary characters make the movie unappealing to anybody but the youngest and least discriminating of audiences. Therefore, the Court of Musical Hell orders the following punishments. For being an irritating brat, we condemn Thunderella to go to a daycare with Miss Hannigan. For failing to be cute or funny, we condemn Scowl and Batso to be adopted by Elmira Duff. Finally, for inflicting this movie on innocent parents, we condemn the producers to the same fate they would force upon others, forcing them to watch this movie with a crowd of hyperactive preschoolers forever. So let it be recorded. This session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell is now adjourned.